When we talk about sports like swimming, track and field, and gymnastics, your career is based on your Olympic success.
No doubt. Yeah.
I mean, you don't talk about the world championships. You don't talk about those things. Those sports are defined by what you do in the Olympics. Then you have the other sports like basketball and golf and tennis, and you can go down the list, soccer, where what you do in the Olympics is secondary. No one takes a look at Carmelo Anthony and say, well, he was one of the all-time greats. He won 3 gold medals. No one says that about
soccer,
Carmelo
they don't
Anthony.
even send their best athletes. It's an under-23 competition
Exactly,
now. We just had Euro championship.
My daughter's boyfriend is a soccer player, and we were talking about it last night. I mean, I said, who is favored? He goes, I have no idea, because you got teams they have age limits, with very few exceptions. So you really don't have the kind of full-scale teams that you would have in the World Cup. It's a completely different thing. I mean, you talk about the basketball, Aaron. Don't get me started.
Let me ask you a question, though.
Don't get me started about Olympic basketball.
But I do think that is the one exception in that, unlike, baseball that now has the World Baseball Classic, soccer that has the World Cup, hockey, I guess maybe you can say Olympics, but that's always dependent on if NHL players play in ice hockey in the Winter Olympics. But basketball is the only one that, at least for an international competition where the Olympics still has some relevance as far as representing your country. But
the only relevance in Olympic basketball is if the United States loses. That's the only. I mean, if they win, okay. Well, shouldn't we win? But we found out in 2004, Aaron, when the team, completely folded and lost 3 games, got blown out by Puerto Rico by 19 in that first game, and ended up with a bronze medal. But there's zero to gain for the U.S. men in the Olympics. There's only lose. That's it. Because, again, nobody, when you evaluate somebody's Hall of Fame status for the Basketball Hall of Fame, is saying, well, how many gold medals did you win? No one's saying that.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think it's probably the only, and specifically in this Olympics, because there is no Michael Phelps, because there is no Usain Bolt, unless something weird happens, like, what was it, like Ryan Lochte, what would he get arrested or something like that in Rio?
Yeah, he made up a story about being mugged. It came out as a lie or something. That was insane.
Yeah, I think he was peeing on the side of a building. Neither here nor there. Yes, something weird happened. So unless something weird like that happens, I will say basketball is the only thing mainstream. But then, yes, to your point, Steve, it's only if they lose, or I would say if they struggle. There were some hot takes thrown around after a close loss to Germany. I was on. You might have been. Were you on air during the South Sudan game last Saturday?
Well, we were, and let's face it, we were all rooting for South Sudan to win that game.
Really?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was a meaningless. It wasn't an Olympic game, and it was an exhibition game. But I mean, when you saw this team that's a 43-point underdog.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, after the missed shot, and then the 2 Sudan players ran into each other.
Of course.
They missed the rebound. Then it was picked up by the Sudan player who lifted his arms, and he got hacked.
Wow, you are so anti-American. Hate the Olympics, rooting
No.
for South Sudan.
I'm going to say something now, and I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Uh-oh. I don't like where this is going.
Okay. Here's my feeling about... Okay. First of all, anyone that's listened to me over the years knows that I despise Steve Kerr. I have despised Steve Kerr from the get-go. To me, he literally defines a 4-letter word: smug.
That's good.
He is smug.
He is.
But when you look at anyone that wants to make, their political positions or whatever it may be on their time, so to speak, go for it. I could care less. But when you're the coach of the United States Olympic team,
I agree on this, and
you take a side in the upcoming presidential election, one way or the other, but you take a side
at the Olympics.
When you are the coach of the United States Olympic team.
The jerseys. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shut up.
You are representing all the United States. And in the political arena that we have these days, where it's a very 50-50 situation, to take a side and use the platform of the Olympics to express that when you're the coach of the United States team? This is not the coach of the Golden State Warriors. This is not a private citizen. You can do that anytime you want. But when you coach the United States of America, you represent all of the United States of America. And I just thought it was incredibly inappropriate, not shocking, because he is smug, and that's who Steve Kerr is. But I thought it was inappropriate to take a political side using the Olympics as a platform.
So I jumped in there because, and I apologize, you got me so fired up on this on a Sunday morning here on the West Coast. I agree with you, and you know what I thought about it was, I mean, listen, the jersey, I think it says USA, but United States. United is part of that, and by giving political opinions, and I'll be honest, this is bad of me. Maybe I'm a little bit unprepared. I don't know the exact context of, was he asked about it? Did he just bring it up himself? Whatever. But the bottom line is, I just think there are so many better ways to handle it. You could just sit there and say, listen, we all have political opinions, but we are here representing the entire country. And listen, no matter what you think about either candidate is going to get tens of millions of votes, meaning that there are tens of millions of people that will disagree with whatever you say. And so it was incredibly frustrating to me, because I do think there is a time and a place. And to your point, if you want to do it on your own social media, whatever. I don't know where would be for Steve Kerr specifically the appropriate place to do it. If you want to get back, attend a rally, whatever, that's one thing. But as a representative of the United States for the people of the United States, I agree that it was a really bad look.
I have a different standard for him because people say Steph Curry also made his thoughts known. Steve Kerr's the coach.
Leader, right?
He's the coach of the team. I have different rules for the athletes as opposed to the coaches. You're coaching a national team. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because it has been bothering me, and I'm not rooting against USA ever. But if this team comes up short and Kerr comes under fire for not getting this team ready to win an Olympic gold medal, I'll be right there just laughing away, man. Smug Steve Kerr.
And what I will...
And by the way, Spoelstra should be the coach of this team. He's a better coach.
Well, I was going to say, the one thing I will say is if this team loses, it ain't going to be on LeBron. It will be. It'll fall on Steve Kerr because, listen,
oh, yes.
Embiid actually played well today, but he has struggled. I think most people think Anthony Davis should be the starter or should be playing the majority of the minutes at the 5. Jason Tatum, by the way, did not play in the opener today. As of right now, there's no injury, there's no illness, nothing that we're aware of. So I will say, if they lose, it is going to fall on Steve Kerr. And I'll tell you this, I'm not anti-American either, but I did think it was a bad look, and I think he's going to take a lot of the blame. By the way, people say, oh, LeBron, whenever LeBron's on your team, he gets all the credit and none of the blame. Well, he's been carrying that team through about the first 5 or 6 exhibition games. So.
What he's doing is unbelievable. I mean, seriously. When you watch LeBron James, he's one of those athletes, much like a Tom Brady or others, where, 20 years from now, you're going to look back saying, did this guy actually exist? It's like what we do with Wilt Chamberlain.
Sure.
You see the numbers and was there actually a player that did this? And that's how it's going to be with LeBron James.